all-time favorite Terry Pratchett quote, which is his description of humans as the place where the falling angel meets the rising ape. Hi, it's Ricarda, aka the Point 303 Bookworm, and today I want to introduce you to a book that I read absolutely every year in December. And it is something that's also to do with how I got my channel name. It is Hogfather by Terry Pratchett. So, if you're unfamiliar, the late great Sir Terry Pratchett is the creator of the Discworld series, which is a series of over 40 novels and novellas that are set on the Discworld, a flat disc that is carried through space on the backs of 4 elephants, which in turn stand on the back of a turtle. And no, in this case, it's not turtles all the way down. It's literally just that one, the great R2 in the Star Turtle carrying this world. And there are wizards, there are witches, there are many countries. Most of the stories that a lot of the stories take place in Ankh-Morpork, which is the largest city on the disc. We always have other stories where we sort of learn about different areas. We also have the very bucolic stories involving Lancra and the witches that live there. And it's a series that I really absolutely recommend to everybody. It is wonderful. I don't recommend starting with the first one, and that will be a story for another day. But Hogfather is one that I just love. So the story is essentially, on the disc you have Death, and Death is an anthropomorphic personification, so he's the Grim Reaper. But he kind of gets very interested in humanity, so he develops a taste for curry, and he adopts a daughter, and then through just the strange genetics of it's a bit complicated, but the long story short, Death has a granddaughter. She's in her early 20s and she works as a governess. She is a little bit magical, so she can do some of the Death stuff. He also has a servant who thousands of years ago tried to trick Death and instead somehow got taken on by Death as his servant. And Death is he's just altogether too fond of humanity for a group of entities known as the Auditors. They're the auditors of reality, as it were. And they just don't like disorder. And to them, humanity is disorder. And they hire the Guild of Assassins, because the Guild of Assassins are a thing in Ankh-Morpork, where you also have the Guild of Thieves, because if you're going to have crime, it better be organized crime, to kill the Hogfather, who's essentially Father Christmas. And they, well, how are we going to kill a mythical figure? But thankfully they have a very creepy young assassin who has an idea. Now, what happens next, it's very confusing in terms of what happens along what timeline, as it were, because you have Hogswatch Night, which is Christmas, starting, and there's the question, is the Hogfather alive or dead? And Susan getting drawn into this entire story, much against her will. And long story short, Death takes over the Hogfather's job. So he practices the ho-ho-ho, which he has to do with more body, as Albert likes to tell him. He stuffs a cushion down his front and he starts delivering presents. There is a very good reason for all of this, and it is explained, and it is like I said, it's a little bit complicated what happens when, even though the thing is one thing happens after another, but it's at times a little bit complex. But one of the rules of Discworld is once something has happened, it stays happened. Also involved in this story are the wizards, who are at Unseen University, which is the premier college of wizardry, which is also where the Point 303 bookworm evolved, after whom I have named this channel. One of the things I love best about this book is that it contains my all-time favorite Terry Pratchett quote, which is his description of humans as the place where the falling angel meets the rising ape. And that is such a marvelous description that I actually didn't realize for the longest time that he came up with that. I thought it must be some older literary reference, but it's not. It is actually Pratchett who comes up with that, and I generally really like that description. So these are the old George Kidby cover illustrations, and a lot of the, I don't know, at least the first 20, I think, Discworld novels have these, and then Kidby died, and they're completely mad. They don't necessarily reflect very well what happens, and they certainly don't really reflect the spirit of it. So it's nowhere near as zany as it might look from this. And also, if you say, okay, but I'm not a fantasy reader, you should give this a chance. Because the thing is, yes, there is magic, but this is a world where magic's just another job. You know how any technology that is sufficiently advanced resembles magic so much that it doesn't make a difference. In this case, it's the other way around. It's just technology. It is just what they do, and it's tremendously funny, like I said. It is very deep. It is wonderful. It's very Christmassy without being about Christmas, because it's about a different midwinter festival that just coincidentally looks a lot like Christmas. And there is also something, which is that it has a pretty decent TV adaptation from 2007, starring a young Michelle Dockery as Susan, before she became known as Lady Mary from Downton Abbey. She's absolutely marvelous in the role. And the late, great Ian Richardson as Death. We love this movie. It's very, very good, actually. It was like 2 episodes of a TV movie, so it takes a while. We watch it with our kids. They don't get scared. And we watch it every year, and usually they want to watch it 2-3 times. And it's just part of Christmas for us. So if you don't want to, read a book that's 550 pages, that you don't know if there's something else you'd rather read, I would definitely say give the Sky TV adaptation a try. And then if you like it, try the book, because of course, always the book is better. The book is more detailed, the book is wonderful, but in this case, I feel absolutely no qualms about saying, if you don't want to commit to 550 pages, you can commit a couple of hours to see the TV adaptation, have a good time, decide if you like it, and then read the book. And I trust that you will love it, and that you will read the book, and that you will become, like me, a lifelong Pratchett fan. And I will, in future, of course, discuss a lot more Terry Pratchett on this channel. Now, I wish you a wonderful day. Keep reading. Please like and subscribe. If you have any thoughts on Hogfather or anything like that, please comment below. I always love to hear from other Pratchett fans. And I'll see you again soon. Bye.